In 1645, 7 days before his death, the legendary undefeated samurai Miyamoto Musashi sat alone in a cave called Reigando and wrote 21 precepts that would guide future generations. One of them was this: do not seek pleasure for its own sake. 400 years later, neuroscientists at Stanford would discover exactly why Musashi was right. We are living through the greatest dopamine crisis in human history. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. Our brains are being hijacked by algorithms designed by the smartest engineers on the planet, all competing for one thing: your dopamine. But here's what's fascinating. The Japanese figured out how to solve this problem centuries ago. Not through willpower, not through motivation, through a system. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. Before we get to the solution, you need to understand the problem. Your brain has a reward system. When you do something beneficial for survival, eating, connecting with others, accomplishing a goal, your brain releases dopamine. This isn't the pleasure chemical like most people think. It's more like a motivation chemical. It tells your brain, that was good. Do it again. This system evolved over millions of years, and for most of human history, it worked perfectly. But then, something changed. Dr. Anna Lembke, a Stanford psychiatrist and author of Dopamine Nation, explains it like this: your brain operates on a pleasure-pain balance, like a seesaw. Every time you experience pleasure, the seesaw tips. Then your brain compensates by tipping it toward pain to restore equilibrium. Here's the problem. When you repeatedly expose your brain to high dopamine stimuli, social media, video games, pornography, junk food, something sinister happens. Your dopamine receptors start to downregulate. They become less sensitive. The brain literally reduces the number of receptors available to receive dopamine. What does this mean? It means the same stimulus that once gave you joy now barely registers. You need more, just to feel normal. And when you stop, you don't just feel neutral. You feel terrible, anxious, irritable, empty. This is called dopamine desensitization, and it's happening to billions of people right now. Yale medicine researchers found that addictive substances can flood your reward pathway with 10 times more dopamine than natural rewards. Your phone might not be that extreme, but the frequency of stimulation is relentless. Recent research from Boston Children's Hospital showed that even in fruit flies, repeated dopamine exposure causes receptors to become desensitized, making subsequent rewards feel less valuable. Your brain is literally devaluing joy. So what do we do? Let me take you back to feudal Japan. Miyamoto Musashi was born in 1584 during the Sengoku period, the Warring States era. By age 13, he killed his first opponent in a duel. By 30, he had won over 60 duels, often against multiple opponents, and remained undefeated until his death at 61. But Musashi wasn't just a killer. He was a philosopher, a painter, a sculptor, and in his final days, living as a hermit in a cave, he wrote 2 masterpieces: the Book of 5 Rings and the Dokkōdō, the Path of Walking Alone. The Dokkōdō contains 21 precepts for self-mastery, and several of them directly address what we now call dopamine addiction. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Do not pursue the taste of good food. In all things, have no preferences. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. This wasn't about deprivation. Musashi understood something profound. When you chase pleasure for its own sake, you feel good without earning the right to feel good. It fulfills the body, but not the spirit. The samurai class embraced Zen Buddhism specifically because it trained them to master their minds. Zen meditation, called zazen, cultivated what they called mushin, the mind of no mind, a state where the warrior acts without hesitation, without the noise of craving or fear. Modern neuroscience confirms this. Studies show that meditation increases dopamine levels in the ventral striatum by up to 65%, but in a regulated way. Unlike drugs or social media, meditation activates your reward system without the subsequent crash. It raises your baseline rather than spiking and depleting. Zen training allowed samurai to face death calmly. Today, it allows us to face boredom calmly. And that, it turns out, is the same skill. Now, let's talk about the practical system. After World War II, Japan was devastated. The nation needed to rebuild fast. American consultants like W. Edwards Deming arrived to help, and together with Japanese leaders like Taiichi Ohno at Toyota, they developed something extraordinary: Kaizen. Kaizen combines two words, Kai, meaning change, and Zen, meaning good. It means continuous improvement through small changes. At Toyota, Kaizen transformed manufacturing. They reduced die change times from 4 hours to 5 minutes. They cut inventory from 15 days to 11 hours. Not through massive overhauls, but through thousands of tiny improvements, day after day. Here's the philosophy. If you improve by just 1% every day, in 1 year, you'll be 37 times better. But more importantly, and this is crucial for dopamine addiction, small changes bypass the brain's resistance to change. This is called the 1-minute principle. Japanese people used this rule to overcome daily challenges. Instead of committing to an hour of exercise, commit to 1 minute. Anyone can do 1 minute. Even the laziest person on earth can sacrifice 1 minute. What happens? You start. And starting is 90% of the battle. Your brain's resistance comes from fear of discomfort, fear of failure. But 1 minute, that's not threatening. Your amygdala doesn't activate. You slip past the brain's defense mechanisms. Over time, 1 minute becomes 2, then 5. Then it stops being a task and becomes an identity. You're no longer someone trying to exercise. You're someone who exercises. Here's the Kaizen protocol for breaking dopamine addiction. Step 1. Identify your high dopamine habit: social media, video games, junk food. Be honest. Step 2. Don't eliminate it. Reduce it by 1 minute. If you scroll for an hour, scroll for 59 minutes. Tomorrow, 58. This is gradual replacement. Step 3. Replace with a low dopamine activity. Reading, walking, journaling, even just sitting in silence. Step 4. Repeat daily at the same time. Consistency matters more than intensity. The genius of Kaizen is that it doesn't rely on motivation. Motivation is a spike of dopamine, unreliable by definition. Kaizen relies on systems. But here's the thing. Removing bad habits creates a void. And if you don't fill that void with something meaningful, the bad habits will return. This is where Ikigai comes in. In the Japanese language, there is no word for retirement. Instead, there is Ikigai, literally a reason for being. It's the thing that makes you want to wake up in the morning. Dan Feuettner, who studied the world's blue zones where people live the longest, discovered something remarkable about Okinawa, Japan. This island has more centenarians per capita than anywhere else on Earth. People there have less cancer, less heart disease, less dementia, and they often remain active and joyful past 100. What's their secret? It's not just diet, it's Ikigai. Feuettner interviewed 102-year-old Okinawans who could articulate exactly why they got up each morning. One man's Ikigai was caring for his 2 prize bulls. Another's was her garden. Another's was teaching traditional dance to the village children. Research from the University of Nottingham found that people with a strong sense of Ikigai have better mental health, stronger immune systems, and are more resilient to stress. Here's why this matters for dopamine addiction. When you have purpose, you don't need cheap dopamine hits. The satisfaction of meaningful work, of progress towards something that matters, releases dopamine in a sustainable, healthy way. Not a spike and crash, but a steady river. Ikigai is traditionally found at the intersection of 4 elements: what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. You don't need all 4 immediately. Start with 1. What do you love? What could you spend hours doing and lose track of time? That's your starting point. There's one more piece you need, because when you start reducing dopamine, withdrawal hits hard. The cravings come, and they can feel unbearable. The Japanese have a concept called mizu, water, and it relates to a technique now validated by psychology called urge surfing. Imagine a craving as a wave in the ocean. It starts small, builds, crests, and then it passes. Every craving, no matter how intense, has a lifespan, usually about 15 to 30 minutes. Most people fight the wave. They try to suppress it with willpower. But willpower is a finite resource. It depletes. The mizu technique is different. You don't fight the wave, you ride it. When the craving comes, acknowledge it. I notice I'm craving my phone right now. Don't judge, just observe. Watch the sensation in your body. Where is it? Your chest, your stomach. What does it feel like? Breathe, stay present, and wait. The wave will crest, and then it will pass. Every time you successfully ride a wave, your brain learns that cravings are not commands. They are suggestions, and you can ignore suggestions. This is the psychological backbone of the samurai's mushin. The mind of no mind doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you don't react to what you feel. You observe, you wait, you choose. 400 years ago, Musashi wrote his final precept: never stray from the way. The way isn't a destination, it's a practice, a daily commitment to small improvements, to purpose over pleasure, to riding waves instead of drowning in them. You're not broken. Your brain is working exactly as it evolved to. It's just operating in an environment it wasn't designed for. Smartphones, infinite scroll, engineered addictiveness. But you now have the tools. Kaizen, 1% better every day. Ikigai, a reason to wake up stronger than any craving. Mizu, the art of riding the wave. Dokkōdō, do not seek pleasure for its own sake. This isn't about becoming a monk. It's about becoming free. Start tomorrow. 1 minute. One small change. One step on the way. And never stray. If this video helped you, subscribe and hit the bell. I make videos about philosophy, psychology, and building an unshakable mind. Drop a comment below telling me which technique you're going to try first. See you in the next one.